Toy tricycle wheels. Will you be able to get over the bricks on your toy tricycle wheels?
Yes, because I've got the shovel to lift the bricks out of way. Yes, because I've got the shovel to lift the bricks out of way. Yes, because I've got the shovel to lift the bricks out of way.
Hey guys, I'm Mans9132, and I'm the Robot Wars Guru. Oh boy, Team Death. It's a well-known fact that nothing is perfect, and in the world of entertainment, even the greatest things have their moments of shit. And then there's some things that are so bad, they become entertaining in their own right for their suckiness. For movies, it's The Room, video games have Superman 64, wrestling has Heroes of Wrestling, and robot combat has the Team Death machines. I always maintain that I respect anyone who can build a robot, a fact that is amplified since building my own Antweight. That being said, oh sweet buttery butt cheeks, Team Death had a lovely habit of building piles of crap and throwing them into the arena. Look at them, they're bloody awful. Please stop, I'm begging you. Now to be fair to Colin Scott and his team, his robots are definitely a guilty pleasure in my book. Sure, the robots are bad, but they were at least memorable and entertained us. For all the wrong reasons. But the day where I actually had to look at and review these robots was inevitable, and I always put personal bias aside when judging a robot via the criteria I have asserted. Remember, I'm not hating on the team or their robots, I'm just giving my opinion as a pathetically inept roboteer. If I can even call myself a roboteer. Let's dive in. So starting the list of ineptitude is PS3 Resistance, a robot made out of a microwave with tricycle wheels powered by windscreen wiper motors. We're really starting strong here. Scarily though, this is technically the most successful Team Death robot as it managed to get past round 1, with help from Sir Kill-A-Lot. Let's see. A high as hell ground clearance, hugely exposed sides, and barely any protection around the robot, it's not looking good so far. Being honest though, it was Series 2 and not a lot of teams had quite figured out what design worked just yet. Also, without seeing it in an actual battle, I can't be too harsh, so I'll go 1 out of 5. This, meanwhile, I can happily rip a new arse. Its weapon was a flexi lifting blade, aka a snow shovel that would, I'm not kidding here, flex and bend whenever it tried to lift anything, essentially making it beyond useless. Not only that, but it would also bend the frame of the microwave, aka the robot's chassis. This is one of the rare examples of a weapon actually hindering a robot. It was already poor enough, but knowing that little fact knocks it into minus figures. Minus 1 out of 5. Now again, because we didn't see PS3 Resistance fight, this is slightly tricky to rate. One could argue that it didn't break down in the 2 events it competed in, so it had to be somewhat reliable. However, there is more to reliability than the robot just being able to move. For a robot to be reliable, it needs to do what you want it to. PS3 Resistance was built to be a robot that could bulldoze, but failed miserably at doing so. For fuck's sake, it couldn't even knock 1 barrel down in its Skittles trial. Sure, it worked for the entirety of its 60-ish seconds of screen time, but that's not enough to save it. 1 out of 5. Googly bloodshot eyes. Yeah, that's pretty much it. I can't give any points for it giving the competition a good go because, well, just look at it. But I'll give it this much, it wasn't just a box with a circular saw. It definitely stands out from the crowd and is memorable. For all the wrong reasons, but it's something. 1.5 out of 5 for character, giving PS3 Resistance a grand total of 2.5 out of 20, which is about 2.5 more points than I thought it would get. Series 3 was definitely a step up from Series 2, not just in episode quality, but robot quality too. Robots were definitely less primitive than the previous series, and a new breed of robot was certainly on its way. Sadly, no one seemed to give Team Death the memo as they entered with death warmed up. Holy crap. Oh fucking hell, where do I start? The robot was incredibly exposed from all angles and was a huge target. Look at the size of this thing! Somehow it only weighed 60.2 kilograms, which is just baffling. How the hell is something this big so light? How empty must this thing have been? The robot's ground clearance was also highly suspect. Why was it so high at the rear? I thought the front was bad enough, but the rear could fit a bus under it. When stealth can expose your vulnerability, it's time to head back to the fucking drawing board. And why did it have those casters hanging off of it? What possible functionality would they have? I don't mind fun decorations to make the robot interesting, but what possible entertainment would we get from those? Oh, and the robot was internally flammable and its weaponry added no protections. Don't worry, I'll get to that soon enough. So yeah, this is pretty poorly designed. 0 out of 5. Death warmed up was armed with an earthquake saw and trident, which sound awesome until you realise that the trident was a weedy rear lifting fork and the earthquake saw was a hedge trimmer. Yes, a hedge trimmer, because hedges are known for being as strong as steel plated armour. And the trident barely raised 6 inches off the ground and had no lip to get underneath anything. That's Robot Combat 101, people! Oh, and the earthquake hedge trimmer thing wobbled around as if it wasn't secured properly. That's shit, innit? 0 out of 5. Well, it drove forwards, but aside from that, Death Warmed Up didn't really add much to this category. One shot from Shunt seemed to stun it, and the Flame Pit did enough damage to kill it eventually. And the weaponry barely worked either, 0.5 out of 5. Well, at least it's getting some points. As bad as this robot is, I can't deny that it represented the spirit of the competition and had some imagination put into it. I like the bloodshot-eyed figure in the chair of the robot, and the rubber arms and gardening gloves added to the charm. If there's one thing you can say about Team Death's robots, they at least had fun with the ideas. Sadly, a complete lack of any pedigree does dump on the points of this category, but the fun look and gimmick are enough to gain it some points. I'll give it a 2 out of 5, giving Death Warmed Up a grand total of 2.5 out of 20. Okay, so we are now at Series 5, the series of the 100 kilo weight increase. Robots were bigger, sturdier, and stronger than ever. Surely Team Death's entry for this series, Immortalis, can break 3 points here. Surely! Nope, obvs not. Jesus wept, it's almost as if they wanted their robots to get completely mullered. Immortalis actually suffers from the same issues that Death Warmed Up had, in that it was way too big, was way too exposed, and had too much unnecessary crap on it. Sure, it's a visually appealing robot, but what was wrong with just having a gruesome face and a lifting shovel? Did you really need all those other additions? Hell, it was so big that it getting pitted looked like me trying to get into a paddling pool. As expected, Immortalis fell victim to the axes of Exterminator and Shunt because there was just so much to hit on it and it was completely unprotected. Its big design did cause Exterminator to flip itself, though I can't personally give points for that as it was more luck than judgment. 0 out of 5. Well, they certainly seem to get the concept of a weapon right this time. If there's one thing I do like about this robot, it's that big shovel on the front. Not only does it look boss, but it looks like it could have actually been quite effective. Obviously it didn't work in its only battle, as is the Team Death way, but hey, it's a start. Sadly, its second weapon is pretty much trash. It was also equipped with a shooting spike that would come out of the forehead of the spooky face on the front. You know, that incredibly high point of this extremely tall robot, which means it would never hit anything. Fucking stellar. 1 out of 5, simply because the scoop looked okay. Well, it moved on screen longer than the previous 2 robots combined, so that's something. Then again, neither weapon worked and it appeared to break down after driving into the sidewall, so who the hell knows. Why do I even care by this point? They clearly didn't. Nah, I kid. But being honest, dying from driving into a sidewall is a pretty weak loss and doesn't scream reliability, does it? 1 out of 5. Well, the robot looked great and gave Exterminator a bit of a scare, even if that was pretty much sheer dumb luck. And whilst all the additions were pointless and ineffective, it was at least a fun gimmick and memorable, so points are guaranteed here. 3 out of 5 for character, giving Immortalis a total of 5 out of 20. Holy shit, they broke 5 points! So, can Team Death Series 7 entry Metallis beat that? Or will the planets only align once this millennium? Well, at first glance, they seem to have made a huge improvement. No pointless additions, the ground clearance looks low all around, and it looks incredibly solid and protected. But then I watched it fight and realised it was still way too big, making it an easy target as Seros was happy to prove. And no, it couldn't self-right either. Great. But as poor as that is, it's certainly a marked improvement, so I'll give it a 1.5 out of 5. Okay, this was pretty silly. Metallis was equipped with an odd set of weapons. The first was a crusher, which would grab robots and press them against the scoop. Once they had done that, the entire body would then raise due to the base plate and wheels being attached to a lifting mechanism, thus allowing the robot to pick up its opponents. Certainly sounds cool, but there are some glaring issues. First off, that crusher is way too small to grab anything that wasn't anvil. And second, surely trying to carry an opponent and its own body weight would make the robot top heavy, causing it to fall over. Like, I can't be the only one who thinks that. Basic physics indicates that if Metallis could grab onto another robot, the second it has it in the air, it would just topple over. That, if anything, makes its weapon a hindrance rather than a help. However, I can't go into minus figures for that simply because it was a unique idea. It still gets 0 out of 5 though. Well, lack of stream ec aside, I have to give Metallis credit here. Once it got righted, it continues to work despite serious pressure from Growler, who was known for smacking robots into submission by simply driving into them. Yeah, it was dead by the time Refbot pitted it, but that was after suffering serious damage, including losing a back piece of armour. Sadly, the robot didn't do what it was supposed to, so I can't give it many points, but I think 3 out of 5 is a fair rating. Now this is an interesting one because Metallis is by far the least characteristic robot of the 4 with no decorations or silly antics, but it was a unique robot for its time and had a memorable unique look to it. And whilst it lost early, it still tried to get stuck into the action once it was righted. I can't fault them for that. I'll give it 2 out of 5 for character, giving it a grand total of 6.5 out of 20, making it the best robot of the lot, at least as far as points are concerned. So now the points are out of the way, what did I think of the Team Death robots? Honestly, I can't dislike them. They are proof that anyone can build a functioning heavyweight, and despite their reputation for being awful, at least they were entertainingly awful. Whilst memorable for all the wrong reasons, I would rather that legacy over a completely forgettable one. And as I've said several times before, I'd rather have an entertaining crap robot than a dull or generic okay one. Also, huge respect to Colin Scott and his team for never giving up, making imaginative robots and always entering a different robot each year. If I had to pick a favourite, it would have to be Immortalis just because of how much imagination went into it. Also, it was easily the best looking of the 4. Colin Scott, along with new team member Adam Taylor, is still building to this day, his latest heavyweight robot being Mean Machine built in 2017. Not only that, but they also enter featherweight events with robots like Chimera's Revenge, Danger UXB, a featherweight PS3 Resistance, and much more, and I personally wish them the best of luck with it. And that's it for these reviews and this video. Do you agree with what I said, or do you think I'm a head trimmer short of an earthquake saw? What do you guys think of the Team Death robots? Let me know in the comments below. Thanks for watching, I'm Anderson9132 the Robot Wars Guru, and I'll see you next time.